When you're sitting at a desk and wondering whether a pricey folder inserter will actually make a difference, the first thing I try to figure out is, will it solve a real bottleneck or just sit idle? That's the mindset I brought to the Formax FD6210 Special, because the last thing any office wants is to drop a few $1,000s on a machine that never gets used. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In the next few minutes, I'll walk through how this unit fits into a typical workflow, what kind of day-to-day quirks you might run into, and whether the price tag feels justified for the problems it promises to solve. Let's start with the kind of environment where the FD6210 Special actually shines. Imagine a mid-size accounting firm that prints out weekly client statements, attaches a cover letter, folds everything into a trifold, and then slips each packet into a prepaid envelope for mailing. Doing that, manually folding each sheet, aligning the insert, and feeding the envelope can take a full employee hour for every 100 packets. The Formax, with its 2-sheet feeders and a dedicated insert/BRE feeder, is built to take that repetitive loop and turn it into a semi-automated line. If you already have a high volume of multi-page mailings and you're paying staff to do the folding, the time saved can quickly outweigh the machine's cost. On the flip side, if you're a freelancer who prints a handful of invoices each month, the same unit becomes a luxury you'll likely never tap into. The machine occupies a full wall-mounted footprint, needs a dedicated power outlet, and requires a learning curve that can be intimidating for a one-person operation. In those scenarios, a simple manual folder or a lower-capacity tabletop model would probably be a smarter spend. One of the first things I noticed when I unpacked the FD6210 Special was the clamshell design. The top opens like a large envelope, giving you easy access to the feeder trays and the internal rollers. This is more than a convenience. It actually cuts down on downtime when you need to clear a jam or replace a feeder roller. In a busy office that runs multiple batches a day, being able to pop the cover open and see the paper path without dismantling the whole unit is a genuine productivity win. The dual-sheet feeders are the heart of the machine's flexibility. You can load 2 different paper stocks simultaneously, say, a 24-page statement on one tray and a 1-page cover on the other, and the system will alternate between them according to the job you programmed. That means you don't have to stop the line to swap paper mid-run, which is a common source of error in smaller folder inserters. The special insert/BRE feeder takes this a step further by handling envelopes or business reply envelopes, BREs, on a separate track, so you can feed them at a different speed than the paper. In practice, I've seen offices use this to keep heavier envelopes from slowing down the paper feed, preserving a steady throughput of up to 2,400 sheets per hour. The 7-inch color touchscreen is where the user interface lives, and it's surprisingly intuitive once you get past the initial setup wizard. The screen walks you through creating a job, selecting fold types, and mapping which feeder feeds which page. Because you can store up to 50 programmable jobs, you can preload the most common mailing configurations like a 3-page statement with a 1-page cover and a BRE and recall them with a tap. The downside here is that the touchscreen is fairly sensitive. A stray finger or a smudge can cause a misselection, so a quick wipe before you start a new batch is a habit you'll want to adopt. Paper presence sensors are another practical feature that often gets overlooked in marketing blurbs. The FD6210 Special detects when a feeder is empty or when a sheet hasn't been picked up correctly, and it pauses the job automatically. In a real-world setting, that translates to fewer misfolded packets and less rework. However, the sensors aren't infallible. They can be tripped by very thin cardstock or by static charged sheets, causing the machine to stop unexpectedly. If your mailings include glossy flyers or specialty paper, you'll need to adjust the sensor sensitivity or be prepared for occasional manual intervention. The high-capacity vertical stacker is a nice touch for offices that need to keep output organized. After folding and inserting, the packets rise into a stack that can hold several thousand items before you have to empty it. For a busy mailroom, that means you can run an entire morning's batch without stopping to clear the output tray. The trade-off is that the stacker adds height to the unit, so you'll need to ensure you have enough ceiling clearance in a cramped workspace. Now let's talk about maintenance. Like any high-speed feeder, the rollers will accumulate dust and paper dust over time. Formax provides a cleaning kit, but you'll need to schedule a weekly wipe down if you're running the machine at capacity. The wear items, mainly the feeder rollers and the insert feed belts, are replaceable, but the parts aren't cheap.